Nikon Z8. I think the Nikon Z8 is pretty much a perfect camera for me, and it would probably be enough for my bird photography, honestly, for the next 20 years, unless of course it breaks down, which I'm hoping it won't. So this video is just for fun. It's a list of features I would like on the Nikon Z8. They're just very minor things, but I thought I'd make them anyway. Okay, feature number one is raw pre-capture. I'll tell you a secret though. I don't really shoot too much action. I prefer a calmer, gentler style of photography, but so many wildlife photographers have said, they want raw pre-capture on their Z8s and their Z9s, of course. So I'm just going to put that in the list because I think everyone pretty much wants raw pre-capture. I wouldn't use pre-capture too often, even if it had raw. There are a few instances where I might use it, but it's not a big thing for me. Feature number two is half press shutter release. I love this feature on my Panasonic G9. The Panasonic G9 has a feature where you can set it so that a half press of the shutter will release the shutter. And I like it a lot because a full press of the shutter, I feel sometimes, even if I do it very gently, still disturbs the camera a little bit, but a half press really is a gentle press of the shutter that doesn't disturb the camera at all. There are cases where I'm holding the camera low and it's not the most stable, so a half press of the shutter in that case would allow me to press the shutter a little more gently and disturb the camera a little less. Okay, zebras for stills. This is something that definitely can be implemented in firmware. The Nikon Z8 video has zebras to indicate overexposure in stills. And I think this is such a useful feature, a much better way to detect overexposure compared to the histogram. So I would love zebras in stills. Quieter IBIS parking mechanism. Now, for me, the biggest shock about the Z8 was how loud it is when turning it on and off. The IBIS, when it parks, makes a fairly audible sound, and I'm not really a fan of the sound. I really wish that was more silent, like in the Nikon Z6. Or in the Panasonic G9, the parking mechanism is practically silent. I wish the camera was totally silent. I don't like my camera to make any sounds when I'm out photographing birds. And the fact that the Z8 has a fully electronic shutter, no mechanical shutter whatsoever, was one of the biggest selling points for me because I just don't like the sound of shutters. And so the IBIS mechanism making that sound is a bit of a disturbance, but not a great one because it only makes that sound when the camera's starting up or going to sleep or whatever. So it's not a big deal, but it would be cool if it was a bit more silent. If I could choose any two features on this list to make it into the next version of the Z8 or a firmware upgrade, well, I guess I can't really choose the IBIS mechanism to make it into a firmware upgrade. That's never going to happen. But if I could choose any two of these features to make it into a firmware upgrade, it would probably be zebras and stills and the half press shutter release. Yeah, I consider those more important than the pre-release capture, but nonetheless, I'm sure a lot of people would prefer the pre-release capture as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video on the Nikon Z8. This wasn't meant to bash it, by the way. I love the Z8 and it will be my camera for the next 10 or 15 years simply because it's practically perfect. There's really nothing seriously lacking in it that impedes my photography. These are just some small things that I think would make the camera ever so slightly better. So anyway, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you again next time.